today. We had a bit of a flight delay, which rippled out into here, but we're ready to get started, so appreciate if you could take your seats. My name is Irene Manning. I am part of the 1M1B Foundation, and we're here today to talk about 1.5 matters. And we're going to be telling you all about what that is. In the meantime, let me tell you a little bit about 1M1B. We're a United Nations accredited not-for-profit social impact organization. We work with many corporates and civil society and governments, like the government of Telangana, to bring skilling to students and women. Our aim is to create the next 1 million leaders to support the next 1 billion people for a just and sustainable world. So I think that fits right in with our goals today to talk about sustainability. We're here today to inaugurate this 1.5 matters. This effort, this initiative, is focused on climate and what we can do to move in the right direction. So the 1.5, I'm sure you know, refers to the fact that we need to hold to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels in order to avoid some of the climate impacts that we're already seeing, and will only get worse the more that the temperature continues to rise. I think we might have a short video. Abhiram, I don't know where you are, but is there a video? 1 second. Okay, maybe not. So in the meantime, special welcome to our chief guest, Mr. Maher Nasser, who's joined us from New York. He is the Director of the Outreach Division of the United Nations Department of Global Communication, and he's also the Commissioner General of the United Nations Expo 2025 to be held in Japan. I would also like to take a minute to acknowledge the Honorable IT Minister for Telangana, Mr. Sridhar Babu. He has been delayed. We hope he will be able to join us later. He's a big supporter of this effort as well. I'd like to just quickly highlight the most important part of our event today is the pledge that we're going to be taking. And we're going to be reaching across the entire state. We have about 10,000 students who will be joining us to take the 1.5 Matters pledge, which is what all of us are pledging here today, that we want to get involved and we want to figure out how we can, all of us collectively and individually, make an impact on the climate. I don't want to delay any longer because we're running a little bit behind. I will say that welcome, thank you to all of our guests who will be hearing from today, including Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, Mr. VLV SS Subbarao, Mr. Jogender Tanakela, Professor Balakishta Reddy, Ms. Shweta Damia, and thank you all of you. I would now like to ask Mr. Manav Subodh, who's the curator of 1.5 Matters and the founder of 1M1B, to come and tell us a little bit about what the 1.5 Matters initiative is all about. Manav.
Thank you, Irene. Hello, everyone. A warm welcome from 1M1B and 1.5 Matters, the program that we are putting together especially to combat global warming in alignment with the Paris Agreement. Thank you, Jayesh, sir, for all the support that you have provided for the 1M1B Green Skills Academy. This is an extension of the work that we have been doing in the state of Telangana over the last 1 year. And the 1M1B Green Skills Academy was launched in the state of Telangana, in fact announced last year at the 1M1B Summit at the United Nations in New York headquarters, where we were talking about building a green workforce in the state so that all the industries that are coming up in the green area, they can recruit people, and we need manpower which is geared up, especially leveraging AI. So the 1M1B Green Skills Academy is building a technical workforce for the future. And as we transition to net zero, and something that Jayesh sir has been talking about is that Telangana state will be achieving net zero much earlier than the rest of India. And that is the vision of the state. And we thought as 1M1B, as a partner organization, we can power up the agenda and set up the 1M1B Green Skills Academy that has been going on. Now, the first batch of that Green Skills Academy has been launched, and today what we would also be doing is recognizing students who have been selected, and they will be representing the state, in fact, next week, and going to New York to represent the state and presenting their work at the United Nations headquarters. So a big round of applause for the 4 students who have been selected and supported by the state, sponsored by the state, and the students are also here, and they would be later presenting their work as well. And thanks to the Department of Global Communication, the Civil Society Unit headed by Mr. Mahir Nasir. He's been a supporter of the program and has been helping us for the past 8 years in hosting events at the United Nations. And 1M1B has been given the opportunity to recognize the change makers from India and taking them to the United Nations, showcasing the work that the Indian young leaders are doing, not just for India, but for the rest of the world. So that's what would be happening. Right now, we'll be talking about 1.5, a global movement that as 1M1B we are starting. And the state of Telangana is the first state that we are launching this movement, and this is in alignment with the Paris Agreement, as I was sharing. And 1.5 is the global average surface temperature that is normally measured over a 10-year period. And there have been debates that we've already crossed the 1.5 limit. But if you look at it, there's a 10-year period that as per the measurements that is done, and as per the last 10 years, the global average temperature has been 1.2. However, last year, which is February 2023 to January 2024, we crossed it, and the temperature went past 1.5, and it's about 1.6 in the last 1 year. So if this trend continues over a period of time, then we are talking about multiple trigger points and climate trigger points, which is droughts, wildfires, and also collapse of the coral reef system. And that is why 1.5 matters. So there were discussions that is 1.5 the right one or 2 degrees the right one. Of course, after every 0.1 change, there's multiple trigger points that happen, but 1.5 or under is something that we need to cap ourselves. And a big role is played by industries, a big role by businesses. And 1.5 Matters is an initiative that is getting the businesses together, getting the educators together, getting the governments together, and coming up with measurable actions that we can do to limit the global surface temperature. So on this occasion, I welcome you all to the 1.5 Matter event today. Thank you so much for your time. I apologize for the delay in starting the event. Our flight from Bangalore was delayed by 2 hours, so in spite of planning well the Bangalore traffic and everything, and starting at 6 a.m., Mahir and I were delayed, so apologies to keep you waiting. But we'll get right away, and I promise this is going to be a very interesting discussion. So I would like to start with the fireside chat. Irene, the pledge. So I give it to Irene, and sorry I'm a little out of sync on the agenda. So Irene, I'll give it back to you, and I'll come back on the fireside chat. Thank you so much, and welcome everyone.
Thanks, Manav. Okay, Deepika, we have all the online kids as well, right? Okay, so we're going to start with the pledge to kick things off. I would ask you all to stand, please. And I would ask you to take your right hand and place it on your heart. That's how we do it in my country. So, and then you can repeat after me. I pledge to lead with purpose, to take bold action for sustainability and climate education, to support clean energy, green skills, and innovation, to reduce carbon footprint at work and at home, to champion and collaborate for a greener future. Together, we can limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, the next, yes, I think that deserves a round of applause. Thank you. Okay, next, I'm going to ask the students. Deepika, is that right? Students. Okay, so as Manav mentioned, we have quite a number of students here who went through the first edition of the Green Skills Academy here, actually, in Telangana, and we're very proud of the work that they have done. We also have a couple of students from some of our other leadership programs from 1M1B, so I would invite all of the students who will be doing their pitches to come forward, and we'll have you. So each of these students have been working on projects related to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Many of the projects are on climate, but they are not exclusively on climate, as there are 17 goals and lots of work to be done. So I'm going to ask all of the students to please come up to the stage. Let's see if I can. And just form a line. I think it's okay. We'll just form a line. Okay, they're all going to take about a minute to tell you about the work that they have been doing. All of these students will be attending the 8th Activate Impact Summit, the 1M1B 8th Activate Impact Summit at the United Nations. It will be happening next week on the 12th of December. And let's hear what they have been working on. So I ask each student, you give your pitch, then you can pass the microphone to the person to your left. Okay, let's go.
Good morning. This story of nurture sapling begins from two people, Satyanarayana and Vijayalakshmi, my parents, who always says Annam Parabrahma Swarupam, which translates to food is an avatar of God. Although agriculture is treated as one of the best occupation in India, for about 65% of area for fiber crops are actually treated with chemicals. This is the only reason to balance the population versus production. For this reason, I, Satyavati Kolapalli, ideated Nurture Sapling, an app that promotes sustainable house farming practices by providing each and every household a plan of action to plant their own crops at their own space that is sufficient for their families by suggesting them the hidden techniques via artificial intelligence. These techniques help the people to grow their crops at their space organically faster. Nurture Sapling is also an initiative that primarily reminds each and every household about the nutrition, as it is truly important in our daily basis. Therefore, I, as a founder of Nurture Sapling, promoting SDG 2.0 hunger, I manifest this right here, that there is no more toxicity in food, and also each and every household contribute themselves as a farmer, not only to bring back agriculture as the best occupation in India, and also to be it as a best hobby to lead a sustainable and healthy life. Want to have a healthy meal right from your balconies? Then it's only Nurture Sapling, an inheritance of sustainable growth.
Imagine a world where every student gets rejected in the interview, feeling defeated, feeling abased, and struggling with their mental health. Rejection doesn't just impact their careers, but it impacts lives. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Meet Kumar Shah, the founder of Apna Interview Cracker, an AI-powered mock interview platform which aligns with sustainable development goals such as SDG 4 quality education, SDG 8 decent work and economic growth, and SDG 7 industry innovation and infrastructure. Beyond interview preparation, this mock interview platform also empowers students with green skills and green job opportunities. Apart from this, I am proud to let you know this achievement has been recognized by Microsoft for Startup for Founders Hub. Join me in building the sustainable future by providing the quality education. Thank you.
Imagine a medical world without shortage of cadavers. Imagine medical world without shortage of faculty teaching human anatomy. Imagine a world with every future doctor masters human anatomy without outdated resources, but with technology that is advanced. That's where Tech Vesalius comes in. Greetings one and all, ladies and gentlemen. I am Pemasani Likhita Chaudhary, founder of Tech Vesalius, which blends technologies like augmented reality and AI and works on the SDG 3 quality education. Students can access 3D interactive bodies layer by layer, enhancing retention and engagement through eco-friendly manner. We provide virtual laboratories to our students with diverse dissection methods and diverse body types. With Tech Vesalius, everyone can access human anatomical resources in education anywhere and anytime, bringing the learning to their fingertips. So, I am here, an engineering student blending technology with human anatomy in education. Thank you.
Imagine a world where lesser-known destinations of Telangana are brought to global attractions. Welcome to Intellinexa. I, Manal Munir, Life Sciences graduate and founder of Intellinexa, harness the technology of AR and VR to bring these ecotourism treasures of Telangana to global attractions. For the visitors, tourism is not just an act of consumption, but also contribution towards sustainability and strategic climate actions. And hence, by the features called as VR 360 degrees and AR wildlife trials, visitors can explore the untapped and sensitive landscapes of these lesser-known ecotourism destinations. For the communities, with the features like eco diaries and eco ambassadors, it is a tool to amplify their voices and empower the economic and environmental stewardship towards the SDGs. And hence, this transformative initiative leads to the economic growth with a and this project leads a bridge where it fulfills the gap between the technology with a progress, with a responsibility towards the climate and sustainability. Thank you.
We all love monsoons for the best climate, crops, and also the greenery which we see. And we not forgetting the rains, right? The rains which come in the monsoons often feel that we face the situations like water unclogging and also the open manhole situations in every metropolitan cities. We put our cities in a loop of changing its infrastructure in every single monsoon season. Do you know that open manhole injuries ranges from 20 to 49 per year? And this number increases in coastal cities like Mumbai. To address this, I am Bhavya, I am here with the project Manifesting Manholes, which is aiming to build a supporting system to address the unattended and unclean manholes across the nation. My project involves two solutions, hardware and software. Hardware involving solar LED lights glows when the manhole is opened and a sound system producing. And software involving AI/ML models trained to identify the open manholes and AR/VR to visualize and detect the open manholes. For our project, we are mainly aiming to address the municipal workers, officers, and also the public safety. Through our project, we campaign to about 100 to 50 municipal workers, and hundreds of students' awareness programs are conducted on open manholes awareness. Through this, I also secured an internship at the T-Hub. Through this, I conclude that open manholes are the raising issue in every metropolitan city. And to a state like Telangana, it is equally important to build its infrastructure and to maintain its infrastructure by opting to better technologies like AI, AR, VR. And to manifest this, here I am with my project Manifesting Manholes. Thank you.
Hyderabad is a city buzzing with talent. Thousands of children, yet they don't have access to the tools needed to shape the future. Hi, my name is Siddharth. I'm 14 and I'm the founder of EduTech, a project I started with the mission of converting underprivileged children to tech-savvy innovators. We started with 90 children, and they've seen a 160% improvement in programming skills and a 150% improvement in decision-making skills. Why settle for a world with limits when possibilities are endless? What we want is simple. A Hyderabad where coding isn't a privilege, but a right. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Ashmit Tanwala, founder of Vibhag Foundation and a proud 1M1B future leader. My project is called Vibhag. It started during COVID with a simple mission to address the health and hygiene needs of the senior citizens and the youth. 63 million people in India were pushed into poverty due to healthcare costs, and 1 in 3 children suffered from hygiene disabilities. To address all of this, Vibhag was founded in 2020. Over the 4 years, we have impacted over 8,000 lives, spread awareness to thousands of people across India. We've also gone global, where we've spread awareness in Singapore, Tokyo, and different other countries. We are also going national in India, where we wish to expand our chapters in various states. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nisha, and I did the Purpose Academy with 1M1B 2 years ago, so my project has been in the works for a while now. In 2022, I started volunteering with Devnar, which is a school for visually challenged students in Begumpet. Through my time there, I identified 2 main challenges that the students face. Number 1, limited access to accessible educational resources, and number 2, dependency on their support system, including volunteers. I wanted to come up with a solution using tech that was both sustainable and reusable and scalable for Devnar. With this in mind, I came up with the idea for an audio library, and this is something that we ended up building. This consists of Bluetooth speakers for every class, as well as USB drives with over 3,500 audiobooks, ranging from textbooks to aid with academics, as well as fictional books for things like recreation. We've seen Devnar using this audio library for a couple months now, and the feedback has honestly been so incredible to see. Currently, we're working on building a platform where Devnar can connect with volunteers who can give a few hours of their time every year. And I really look forward to continuing to collaborate with them over the next few years and building this project in more meaningful and sustainable ways. Thank you.
Thank you so much to each of the students here, and another big round of applause to all of them. Congratulations. Keep driving, keep working, and keep making impact. And best wishes at the 1M1B Summit. Oh, sorry. You're to stay.
Hello, everyone. We will have one photo of Jay sir. Hi, sir. Jay sir, we'll have one photo op with all of them. Manav, Mahir, all the dignitaries present here, Jakinder sir, Subarav Garu. Can you please come on to the dais for one photo op with all of them, please? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Manav, yes. Yeah. Shreya. Yeah. One second, Shrikant sir. Shrikant sir is missing. We need one more main photograph. This will be the... Yeah. How can we have a picture without you, Shrikant sir? Thank you very much, dignitaries. Thank you, students.
Okay, at this time we will proceed with the fireside chat, so I'll ask Manav to come back up. So we're going to proceed now with a fireside chat, which Manav will host. I'd like to ask to the dais Jayesh sir and Mr. Subba Rao and Maher, please. So Jayesh, sorry. I already told you about Maher. He's our representative from the United Nations. Hold on, I got to get my notes straightened out here. We are jumping all around. Okay. Mr. Jayesh Ranjan is the Special Chief Secretary, the Department of IT, Electronics and Commerce for the Government of Telangana. And Mr. VLVSS Subba Rao is the Vice Chancellor of Young India Skills University. So, welcome, gentlemen, and let's proceed.
Thank you, Irene. So we'd like to have a panel discussion on what 1.5 means individually to the United Nations, to the government of Telangana, and of course to the academia with Professor Rao there. But my first question is to Maher. Maher, you and I were talking about 1.5 too, and in fact, thank you for making sure that we are in alignment with the Paris Agreement and the commitments by the United Nations. So would like to start with you opening up and giving your opening remarks on what is United Nations commitment towards global warming and what is the biggest agenda you're driving across various countries, and particularly what would you like to see India do?
Well, thank you, and I'm very grateful to be part of this really important event. I often remind myself and remind people whenever I talk about the United Nations that the Charter of the United Nations, that next year will be 80 years old in June, starts with the words, "We, the peoples of the United Nations." It doesn't say "we, the governments," it says "we, the peoples." And governments represent the people, but also when you talk about private sector, academia, civil society, regional and national governments, that's what we talk about needing to work together on these issues. So the UN was created to deal with the global challenges facing humanity in the aftermath of the Second World War. Of course, peace and security were at the most in people's minds. But as we progressed and as humanity advanced economically, we were doing so at the expense of the planet. I think the launch and the creation of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, it's a group of scientists, thousands of research around the world. It identified that, and this is uncontested, I think the majority of scientists, 99.9% agree that what we are witnessing around the globe, climate change, has been caused by human actions, by the accumulation of carbon emissions, methane, greenhouse gases since the Industrial Revolution. Now, why 1.5 degrees? 1.5 degrees is based on the projections of where, if we reduce emissions by a certain degree, is the best hope of avoiding catastrophic consequences, even more than what we see already in terms of the impact of climate change. When we say 1.5 degrees, the science says every percentage point beyond the 1.5 degree, the impact is not just relevant to that 1 percentage point, it's multiple times more. And I think this is why governments who have committed to that need to ensure that their actions and regulations are inclusive and done and work done with the stakeholders across society. We have launched a campaign called The Future Thanks You. This is a campaign that is looking at the area of mis and disinformation around climate change and making sure that people are aware that it's not just individual choices of how we consume or how we go about our life, but there's also the need for commitment from leadership in governments for regulation that is meant to promote and support renewable energy, but also investments by the private sector. There is no denying it that some seem to follow the ostrich example. They bury their head in the sand, pouring the investments again and again in the same gas, oil, and coal. They are responsible for 75% of greenhouse gas emissions. But we have to also be mindful and not only think in terms of the energy. Food production accounts for a significant contribution to emissions and gas emissions and climate change. 1/3 of the food that is produced on the planet is wasted every year. So if we even just focus on reducing the third that is wasted, we can also impact the emissions. Food choices are also important. So all of that, the UN cannot do this alone. Member states, governments that we answer to, cannot do it on their own. So this is why events like this, and India is a most populous country on the planet today, the third contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. So whatever happens in India impacts the whole world. So to see here the coalition and coming around to launch this campaign, civil society organization, but also working with the local government, with academic institutions, with the universities, with the private sector, and having met and seen several of them being represented here, is heartwarming. To see the projects of students, very young students, talking about the SDGs and coming up with proposals and projects, presenting here in front of distinguished experts. I wouldn't have been able to open my mouth when I was 14 years old in front of such a crowd. So, well done.
Thank you, Mahir. And Mahir and his team at the Department of Global Communication has been supporting 1M, 1B to host these summits. And something that has made us really proud is the talent that we consistently showcase from India has made this an 8th event in a row. So over the last 10 years, leaving the pandemic, we've got 8 events at the United Nations, and this year is going to be even bigger. We already have about 400 registrations confirmed for the event that is going to happen at the ECOSOC chamber inside the United Nations. My next question is to Jayesh sir, who's the Special Chief Secretary at the Government of Telangana. Sir, there has been a discussion that India landed up in the climate crisis, but we didn't invent it. We were not responsible for it. And there has been discussion that should we be focusing on environmental impact, economic development, and we need to balance it out. And I know you have been a strong advocate for net zero. Would like to start with your remarks, sir. What has been your perspective on this, and especially from the state, what has the state done in this perspective?
Sure. Thank you. First of all, greetings to fellow panelists, greetings to all the guests, invitees, particularly the students. So, see, as a government, wherever livelihoods get adversely impacted, it is a matter of great concern and also a matter of great responsibility. Right. And today we have enough evidence to see how climate change incidents, particularly flooding, untimely rains or extreme heat wave, etc., is impacting farming, is impacting livelihoods of, let us say, people who are involved on the fisheries sectors, people who are literally at the sustenance level at the bottom of the pyramid. So these are things which we can't just ignore, and we can't also start a blame game that this was started, the climate crisis was started by the Western countries, and therefore they should clean it up and they should help us and all that. I mean, all that is important, but that is not the most important question in my opinion. The question, in my opinion, is call for action. We have enough science and knowledge and technologies to understand what needs to be done, and therefore you would be aware our Prime Minister is committed that India will become net zero by 2070. And obviously, being the Prime Minister, he has the national picture and he understands what is the reality and what needs to be done, etc. So he has made that commitment. But there are many states, particularly our state of Telangana, in which we feel that we can do it much, much faster. And we don't have precise kind of calculations or studies, but intuitively we feel that we can achieve net zero for the state of Telangana and for the city of Hyderabad surely by 2047. And 2047, so that is almost 23 years ahead of what the Prime Minister's national commitment is. And 2047 is a very important landmark for India. India will become India's independence will be 100 years old in 2047. So imagine when the country is becoming 100 years, a state is becoming net zero. So it'll be a matter of great pride for all of us. But obviously we also know that if something has to be achieved in 2047, it is not that you do nothing till 2046, you wake up at the last moment and hope that some magic will happen. So obviously that's not the way it is going to work. You have to start action right from now. So we are engaging a couple of organizations. We have actually reached out to UNDP as well to assist us in preparing the roadmap. And of course, when you prepare the roadmap, the first very important thing is to take stock of where you are right now. So if you have to become zero, where you are today, and therefore what do you need to do over a period of time to bring that to zero. Of course, some of the answers are intuitive. For example, lots of emission is happening from industries, lots of emission is happening through transport, lots of emission happens through other kinds of human activity, including agriculture. So how do you take steps? How do you plan interventions where all those can be nullified? And what else can you do to remediate? For example, planting trees. So planting trees has always worked. So how do you plant more trees? How do you prepare to protect for those trees? How do you create community awareness? So again, as was pointed out, and as Mr. Nasir also said, while the governments take leadership role, governments take responsibility, but eventually everyone has to take responsibility, everyone has to own up responsibility. And therefore, when 1N1B has started this initiative targeting students, that has appealed to us quite a lot, because this is the pipeline. And as I said, the initiative is spread now over almost 20 plus years. So while they are students today, tomorrow they will become professionals, some of them will start businesses, and they will be in a position where they can influence a wider network. So if the seeds of sustainability and net zero and green skills are sown into them at this point in time, this will be a tremendous opportunity to ready that pipeline to take responsibility and take action in years to come. So as a government, we value these kind of platforms, these kind of events, these kind of activities quite a lot, because we realize that unless every person takes responsibility, we will just not be able to, despite having the best intention, despite having very well laid out plans and implementation ideas, and having the best consultants and UN organizations at our disposal, we will just not be able to deliver what we intend to. So that is the importance for this.
Thank you, Jayesh sir. So thank you, Jayesh sir. In fact, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan has been a big advocate, and one of the things that we would be doing for the first time, this time at the United Nations, is that we're going to be having representation from the grassroots of India. So imagine the United Nations opening up its offices and its historic ECOSOC chamber for the grassroots, and we'll be having students who will be representing from the tier 2 cities and the villages as well. And that is something that a problem that we took to Mr. Jayesh Ranjan 1 year back, that we want sustainability discussion to be happening in the top schools and at the bottom as well, so that we can use sustainability and AI especially as an equalizer, so that many students from India, no matter where they are, they can participate in this revolution. And I think that is going to be happening here. And one of the things that Mr. Ranjan mentioned was capturing where we are. You know, there's a saying that goes that if you don't know where you are, a map is not going to help you. And the very fact that we need to have baseline data, and that is something that would be happening here in the state. And that gives me to our next panelist, Professor Rao. He's been a thought leader and the Vice Chancellor of the Young India Skills University. Sir, my question to you is that we need to gear up. We already see there's a skill gap, which has not been talked about as much. We are transitioning towards net zero. We are transitioning towards green technologies, and there is already a gap that, and I was reading that we already face a skill gap. So how do you think universities, and especially from a skilling perspective, we need to gear up as India transitions to this main agenda?
Thank you so much. My greetings to the dignitaries on the dais. Yeah, I'm audible. Thank you. So when we talk of sustainability, the basic issue is when resources meant for tomorrow are used for the development needs of today, we begin with unsustainability from day one. That is what has been happening. So we have ended up in a particular crisis today, and the crisis seems to be just growing. Now, climate change is the net result of a cumulative set of factors which have been working over time. So we are now trying to deal with climate change and integrate our measures backwards. That is where we are. But yes, it has to be done. Now, the problems are at the issues, they're not a problem because we are here to solve them. The issues are at 3 levels basically. Number 1 is the knowledge inputs, first of all, the technologies, the production processes, and knowledge pertaining to all that. The second step is the translation of that into business processes, the adoption of the same by the various companies, industrial sector, and so on. And thirdly, harnessing the knowledge inputs and the business processes through the education system into workable courses, skilling, capacity building, and so on. These are the 3 inputs. So the university system, its role kicks in at the 3rd stage. So we make careers out of concepts. That is the only way in which the student community can be involved when they see a definite career at the end of every concept that is put forward. And I can tell you this from my past experience, because when sustainability, then in the Swachh Bharat initiatives, for those who are familiar with it, where cleanliness, hygiene, and across the countryside, I mean, this was promoted through solid and liquid waste management. We had devised courses, BBA courses, MBA courses in waste management, hygiene, and so on, and evolved SOPs for a model village, evolved SOPs for a model college campus, a model university campus. All these were released and so on. So at this stage, for a concept like this, education is a decentralized process. So are the measures required for climate change. So if these have to be brought closer to implementation, we have to identify those industry clusters in different parts of the state. We are in Telangana state now. So, and locate our educational institutions which are closer. I mean, I'm saying all this with a limited emphasis at my command. We have to locate educational institutions which are closer to such industrial clusters and evolve SOPs through these colleges, make them the stations for generating the awareness, capacity, and knowledge for each industrial cluster. So every industrial cluster will have 1 or 2 institutions where our centers would function. And Young India Skill University could perhaps assist in assembling these knowledge inputs, cluster-wise, preparing these SOPs for each industry cluster, which would be disseminated through identified educational institutions. This is one important way forward where we can translate all that we have been talking about into concrete, doable steps. We can begin with the most the needy clusters which can be identified. This is what I would say so. And then the Young India Skill University is also going to embark with the blessings of Sri Jayesh Ranjan ji. It is going to embark on a more decentralized approach towards skilling. Skilling is in my opinion, skilling and education cannot be separated from each other. The 2 of them are intertwined. And so to achieve a 1.5 degrees achievement of 1.5 degrees would almost require a 360-degree change in some of these industries which are around over here. And so movement towards that is very, very important. And these knowledge inputs through concrete courses, through the student community, so that the students also see a career in climate change. That is the roadmap that I see toward this. Because as much as we love our parents, we are all children of the mountains, the breeze, the rivers, the lakes, the forests, the soil, and the responsibility to protect all these is embedded in our very thinking and our dharma, so to put it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So my last question actually is on the role of technology, and technology is a double-edged sword. Maher is talking about combating misinformation, and that's a big campaign that Maher is driving, and we all know the growth of AI and the misinformation that is associated with AI, and also the digital infrastructure and the power that is required to fuel the data service. So I know AI is seen as a big leverage for accelerating net zero. At the same time, on the other side, there's a misinformation and, of course, the uncontrolled data server growth that is happening. So Maher, how would you like to approach the growth of technology, and what do you think technology can play in the whole net zero acceleration?
I think any technology, whether it's AI or atomic energy, can be a force for good and can be used for terrible and catastrophic consequences. What is needed is to ensure that there are guardrails that are based on the Charter of the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the concepts of sustainability that govern the use of any technology. And member states, for the last 2 years, have been negotiating a pact for the future, recognizing in 2020, at the 75th anniversary of the United Nations, that the world has changed. In 1945, when the UN was created, there were 51 member states, and the population of the world was 2.3 billion people. Today we have 193 member states, 2 observer states, and 8 billion people. And we have technology and climate change opportunities and challenges that didn't exist in 1948. So AI enables massive amounts of data to be managed and run, and coming out with computations on issues that if we use only our own human minds, we would never be able to do. And there are many applications where technology will actually help us find solutions. And therefore, one of the annexes to the Pact for the Future, which was members did negotiate over 2 years, adopted at the UN on the 22nd of September this year by consensus. It attempts to address the issue, how can UN be more effective in the world of today when its structures and its institutions represent the world in 1945? That annex is called the Global Digital Compact. The Global Digital Compact, for the first time, talks about the need to also provide guardrails and to regulate the how and where and when AI can and is used in a way that is enhancing our ability to address those challenges and not allow AI to become a tool for making mis and disinformation. That's one side of what AI can do. I mean, invasions of privacy. AI uses data that comes from the internet, and we know that the internet is filled with data that is biased, because for the majority of the digital history, most people who have been filling out the internet and creating the programs are men. So for example, on issues, if you ask the AI, it will look at data, it will have an inherent bias against women. It will have an inherent bias against minorities. So making human rights at the center of also how we use any technology, and AI in particular, is paramount, and it's very, very important. But the potential is huge, so we should definitely not shy away from something because it is dangerous. The world did not turn away from atomic energy after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The world created the International Atomic Energy Agency that regulates the peaceful usage and provided safeguards for how to best use that energy, which some people say is actually contributing to addressing the issue of climate change, because in terms of atomic energy production, is carbon neutral. It doesn't emit anything. Some people have other issues, but I mean that's an issue for countries that are able to do it. So AI, for that matter, I think can be like anything else. You can use a knife to chop carrots. You can use a knife to stab somebody. I think AI can be really a multiplier of ideas and calculations and emissions. and can also be a danger. But we, as long as we have always mindful that there needs to be a human final arbiter for what AI decides, then we are on the good path if we're basing that on also on preserving and protecting human rights and privacy.
Thank you. Jayesh sir, your opinion on technology.
Thank you. So, I mean, it's a very nice coincidence that we are discussing technology. In fact, today, before coming for this event, I was at another event, and I should give that example. So, there is an entrepreneur, coincidentally a woman entrepreneur. She has created material which creates substitutes for the normal single-use plastic objects, like let us say bottles or plastic bags or plastic cutlery, which we are all used to, and which are the ones who actually add to lots of pollution load, carbon load. So as we all know, the granules which are used to manufacture plastic products like a bottle or a plastic bag are the ones which are typically, they are first of all very toxic. The chemical composition is such that they don't degrade for hundreds of years, and obviously there is a very visible impact on pollution of those kind of things. So there are two premier institutions in Hyderabad. One is called IICT, which focuses on chemical technology. One called CPET, which focuses on plastic technology. So both these two institutions joined hands. They assisted this entrepreneur in developing her R&D, and now she has developed granules based on biomaterial, which can develop a bottle or any other useful item, which we, or a daily use item, which we are used to, habituated to using. But the advantage of that material is that in 6 months, it completely biodegrades. So let us say I use this bottle, I mean that bottle, the new material bottle, and discard it in a compost pit. In 6 months, it will all be gone, and there will be no impact, chemical impact on the soil of that area. So the amazing thing is that technologies are available, lots of advancement of knowledge is happening, but much of this is fragmented. The technologies being developed are fragmented, and we are not able to create end use or consumer focused kind of applications of that technology. So that is where the challenge lies, and hopefully institutions like T-Works, again, it's a great coincidence that we are having this event at T-Works. Next door is T-Hub, and then there are all these scientific and research institutions in Hyderabad that I speak about. All of them, if they are targeted in their R&D, their prototyping, in supporting entrepreneurs and creating solutions which can tomorrow solve a very pressing pain point and which is also commercially viable, then matching all these disparate elements and putting everything together in a comprehensive way is the way technology will help. Otherwise, technology will just remain a good concept. We will marvel at something happening wonderfully, but very little of practical usage, grassroots level usage will come out of it. And as a government, we are very clear that this is the role which we should take for ourselves, to bring all these technology developers together, bring entrepreneurs together, and create products and solutions which eventually will help in so many areas of sustainability.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Professor, what do you think about technology and how that can be used for skilling a lot of young people who are part of the workforce?
Technologies have to be assembled sector-wise. In this for a 1.5 degree context, we'll have to have 1.5 degree centers located closer to each industry cluster, operating perhaps through educational institutions, whose capacities are built up by getting together these technologies, practices, where these centers can engage the technical manpower required to it. So the student community will come there as students, as a university system can give credits for that, so that there are vertical pathways for such students. So the whole thing should look like a career while also serving the purpose of this. So when you want to involve the student community and the industry community together, it has to work within a framework of academic mobility, careers, as well as the upskilling avenues for people from those industry clusters over there. So, and AI, thanks to AI and other latest techniques, we can now have virtual labs. I mean, virtual labs where people do their practices and the various iterations and so on. And then finally, when they reach a certain level of perfection, they get on to the real life situation. So AI receptivity also has to be first built up in our both in the industry as well as that. I think we are somewhere in the midway stage. So there's a lot of conceptual infusion has taken place, and now once we see some success stories in certain clusters, it can become a very widespread phenomenon. Yes, skilling through AI, skilling through the college system, using the university system could be one way forward to achieving the objectives of 1.5, because they represent the force through which you can carry it forward. It's the knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And on that note, we'll end the panel. In summary, we need technology for sure, but more than that, we need people and a thriving innovation ecosystem that can leapfrog us into the future with environmental stewardship. So on that note, I would like to thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mahir, for being part of the panel.
So we are now at the point of the official launch of 1.5 Matters. So we'll ask for some, here we go. Got it? One photo, yeah. Oh.
Irene is making the audit system for us to measure, and she would be researching on that. So, yeah, please come. Please come.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
For you, the pledge that we all took. Ajay sir.
Thank you so much for such an interesting and important discussion that we just held. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on now, and we're going to do our next round of discussions. I'd like to call to the stage Mr. Shrikant Sinha, the CEO of TASK, which is the Telangana Academy for Skill and Knowledge. Professor Balakrishna Reddy, who's the chairman of the Higher Education, State of Telangana. Mr. Joginder Tanakela, the CEO of T-Works. And Ms. Shweta Dalmia, the CEO of Climapreneur. And Bharat Climate Startup. Please. Yeah, let's shift one. Oh God, that came across loud. Okay. Shall I sit in the middle? How about I sit in the middle? Amongst all of the experts. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much, all of you, for joining us here today. And today what we want to talk about with all of you is some of the best practices. How can we get started in various industry or wherever we are, whether it's academia or startup, how can we get started in our path towards sustainability? And so we've assembled a group here. We'd like to start with you, Shrikant sir. So you do a lot of, yeah, we need a couple of microphones. There we go, thank you. So you work on skill development, right? And the question is, what innovative or impactful programs or initiatives have you taken with TASK to start, inculcating these kinds of sustainable skills?
Sure. Thank you, Irene. And I would like to start by thanking Manav and the UN, etc., for providing us an opportunity to express our thoughts. And of course, T-Works for hosting us over here at this venue. When, as the Honorable Special Chief Secretary mentioned in the beginning itself, that this state was definitely looking at doing such things, only thing was, how do you make it happen? At TASK, we work with about 755 plus colleges. So we were probably the starting point where this thing could actually start, with more than 324,000 students benefiting from our programs. We started looking at partners who could actually help us. And when we looked at the skills, because we are a skilling institution, there were two kinds of skills that we were looking at. How do you imbibe green skills into existing job roles? And the second was, how do you get new job roles, which are for the green industry itself? How do you skill for that? And that is where we were looking at, and that's where we were fortunate to start looking at, and we started working with 1M1B itself to start the training. I was very happy to see that the students also went out of their way to adapt this. And we had in the first batch, which was launched in, if I'm not wrong, February last year, more than 8,000 students in different colleges across the state of Telangana who actually went ahead and became part of this program itself. And the program was uniquely designed because it was looking at technology, it was looking at green skills, it was looking at solving problems, and of course, mentoring was there. And the entire thing was done where all the students who became part of this program really benefited a lot. First of all, they were able to understand what are the green skills, why are we talking about it? For example, like when I used to go to a college, I used to ask them a simple thing, and which is of course related to it, and which is, if India has 1 billion mobile phones, and each mobile phone would have a charger, if you have a 30% fault rate, and assuming a charger to be 100 grams, we are producing 30,000 tons of e-waste itself. And it was only the mobile phone chargers that I'm talking about, not the rest of it. And that was very important for us to convey to the students that what are we doing? There is no plan B, there is no second earth, right? And that's where we started, and in fact, the program that we ran through, including things like understanding AI, understanding how data can be represented, visualization of data, how do you collect data, everything was covered as part of this program, and our youth benefited from it. And happy to say that out of those, 20 ideas were shortlisted first, then we brought it down to 10, and finally you saw the top 5 students over here itself. So it is, I think, today, even the pledge, unfortunately, all these things could not fit onto the screen, but we had more than 200 plus colleges where more than 10,000 students have taken the pledge today for 1.5 degree matter. So that is how we have incorporated it. Coming to new skills for green skills, we have also recently set up a center called Task Kalam Center for Automotive Excellence in the Mahindra University campus, where we would be skilling people from the ITIs, etc., on these EV skills, green skills over there. So those are the various initiatives that we have taken as part of TASK. I'll probably talk about it more later on.
Great, excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. Ms. Dalmia, I'd like to move to you. We were discussing earlier how you help climate-oriented startups and try to get them to figure out, navigate their way in the ecosystem and, how to get started, what kinds of things to do. So my question to you is there any specific initiative that you think is important for these startups or even small or medium businesses? What's the most important thing that you think they need to know to start on a sustainability journey?
I think, the most important thing to build anything into the climate space, any solution as a corporate, as a MSME, as a startup founder, is knowing the problem statement. And like today we have a couple of students sitting here right now. I was like you, sitting somewhere here struggling to find that, okay, what should I do to find purpose in my own life? Because I wanted to build something that's impactful, something that helps people. And that's when I started out with Climapreneur and Bharat Climate Startups. And as you know, the panel before us were discussing about the grassroots. I traveled to the grassroots of the country to see in what geography, what solutions are today being built. So just a few weeks ago, we were in Sundarbans where we met a local organization who do not know how to market. They do not know how to, maybe even raise funds for their project. But what they did there was very incredible. They actually built, an entire system where mangroves were being planted. Students there, they don't have any teachers that could actually travel to say 2 hours via the ocean to reach Sundarbans. So that local group, they educate students, and with these students, they actually plant mangroves. Similarly, there are today so many stories, like Sir was talking about e-waste. We have startups today like EcoWorks. So what they have done is, like, we all know about the co-working space, right? EcoWorks is India's first co-working startup into the e-waste sector. So what they did was, e-waste is a very unorganized sector. Like, for example, talking about areas in Delhi like Seelampur and maybe in Telangana as well, people work in very, dark conditions. So they melt wires using chemicals, and it's not a very good situation to be in. So this startup actually gave these local people the space, okay, you come to our facility, you break down these devices, be it televisions, be it laptops, be it refrigerators. And then what happened was, they happened to partner with organizations like Flipkart, Amazon to discard their e-waste. Similarly, I happened to speak with Mercedes-Benz India at their Pune plant. So very recently, Mercedes launched their first electric car that was actually manufactured in India. And then, as he was talking about green skilling, so they actually had to undergo an entire transformation to skill their own employees. Similarly, another example is for a startup called Environalgae. What they do is they actually use algae to clean water. Now what they did was, so this is this organization which is India's biggest food processing unit. They said, okay, we will clean your water using this algae. And then when they use algae to clean water, algal biomass is generated. That algal biomass actually they use into the bigger organization's soil. So like, for example, if that organization is, say, making ketchup, this algal biomass ended up into good production of tomatoes, even bigger tomatoes. So the point I'm trying to explain here is that if you have to take any one thing away from me today, is that climate today gives you the opportunity to create something sustainable, something profitable, something impactful. And every state in India has a complete ecosystem. Like every state, trust me, I have been to Surat, to Kolkata, to, even like this is space called Bharuch, which is in Gujarat. And what happened there was that there's this particular organization. What they do is that whenever you burn something, ash is generated. This ash is also a big pollutant, so they actually make bricks out of this ash. And these bricks are completely tested. These bricks are safe. So now what happens is they set up their plant near thermal power plants, because if I have to talk very practically, phasing out 100% fossil fuels today is not possible in India. Because if this happens, half of the country would be energy insecure. So the idea is that whenever we even place our demands in front of anyone, be it government, be it any people, please go through. Like, for example, if you have to talk about, okay, how do India goes net zero? Have you studied different geographies? What kind of solutions should be implemented? So talk with, proper research, and that's how ample opportunities are today available in India to build something for the entire world. So these are my 2 cents on it.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Professor Reddy, welcome to the stage. Let me ask you, so we've talked a lot about green skilling and the importance of getting students like the ones that we have here up to speed. I think Maher was the one who commented about the population of India, and particularly the young population. So how do we not only get them those green skills, but how do we accelerate that to get where we need to be by the 2047 goals for the country, and more urgently, this 1.5 degree goal?
Okay, thank you. Yes, where to start this? Any discussion on, because I'm talking about the students, being I'm representing, Chairman Telangana Higher Education Council living here. So where to start this discussion on that? There is a Latin maxim. It's a not only climate change, but entirety of the environmental jurisprudence. I can say that there is a principle called sic itere uto at alienum non lidus. What do you mean by this? This means that use resources not harming others. This is the philosophy. This is the jurisprudence of environmental jurisprudence, and I don't think climate change is an exception to that. Next is, yes, as a chairman, Telangana Higher Education Council, my vision mission is to empower education at the doorsteps of the needy with affordable cost without compromising quality, including environmental education. Please note that, that is where we have to start, educating the people from, high schools to colleges to, that is one important aspect. Of course, environmental, climate change, particularly as a law professor, there are two important areas because we are talking about the global community, because environment knows no boundaries. It's a universal problem. It's an international problem. It's a boundaryless thing. So a lot of efforts, Mayor was mentioning about United Nations. There is a organization called UNEP. Any climate change or environmental thing, there are two levels countries have to participate. It's hard law, soft law. We call, soft law is all UN General Assembly resolutions, whether it's a Stockholm Declaration, Rio Declaration, Johannesburg Declaration, all these are all talking about the environment and, climate change, all these things. Other side, you want to make, countries obligation, that's called treaties. You have United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, Paris Agreement, Kyoto Protocol, all these makes countries as a obligatory, but education to start grassroots, earlier speakers also speaking, we have to impart that education at the grassroots level. That is what, I consider, I think, we should start from that, educating the students from the classes to colleges to that. So then we can make a lot of impact. That's what I believe.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi. Hi. Okay, so Joginder sir, we're here in your beautiful space, this T-Works facility, and I see through the glass here a lot of work going on from a hardware perspective. You're an incubation organization, correct, where people can come and try out their ideas. How are you sort of promoting or enabling climate-oriented hardware as part of the solution and getting the people to come here and use your beautiful facility to do such things?
Thank you, Erin, and thank you everyone for being here. And my distinguished dignitaries on dais also, thank you so much. So first of all, I would like to say that it's very nice to have all of us here right now. So once again, welcome to T-Works. And thanks for observing the activity. So now, actually more than climate, right? So we are actually looking at sustainability from a zero wastage perspective. So that is the first thing we are trying to implement here at T-Works, which is how do we utilize all materials and make sure that there is no wastage during the prototyping and manufacturing process. One of the things we are actually working on is e-waste recycling. So in fact, we were trying to show something by today, but it's taking some more time, so we'll get there. So when we have zero wastage in the prototyping process itself, then people who come here also, they can they start off with that perspective, and that is a thing which we are trying to inculcate in young people, especially students. So when they come here also, we explain to them about the zero wastage philosophy, and we are also taking this message to the districts actually. So we are going to be setting up mini T-Works, one in each district. So we want to take this message to the districts also. Thank you. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. So briefly, I'll just have each one of you go in a rocket pitch format. Oh, can we have the, yeah. What do you see are the main challenges? Sustainability has been talked about for many, many years, but what are some of the challenges from where you sit from your perspective?
So if I just look from my perspective as the skilling institution, I think the biggest challenge is whatever we do, our mission and vision is very simple, which is skilling for employability. Today, not enough companies are providing green jobs or moving in that direction. Second is providing the right and ready resources to the industry as, when and where they want them. That's another challenge because industries haven't moved that fast. and they want experienced people for it, while we have 0 to 2 years. So that's another challenge. So we need to have students undergo internships in industries, in startups, in MSMEs who have actually started their journey. So that's the second. And third is, our vision is to create an entrepreneurial mindset, right? I think we have started doing it, but there's so much more that can be done, especially when we run this program called I4TG, which has impacted 20,584 students last year, and it's a virtual entrepreneurship and innovation program. I think we need to ensure that we are able to trigger more thoughts, as the Chairman Garu also said, in the villages, in the rural youth, as to how they can start thinking, because no one can come from outside to solve our challenges, our problems. It has to come from the grassroots itself. And that's where we would like, our students and everyone across the state to look at it seriously. Unfortunately, even SDGs, right, though it is belonging to the youth, normally get discussed only in conferences. Right? So it's important for us that they are also aware, and I4TG as a program itself focuses on 7 SDGs, and we have made them as theme areas. So that's how we feel that, we need to do much, much more. So the challenge, I don't think it's a challenge, but it's an opportunity. But the first 2 definitely are challenges we need to overcome. Thank you. Thank you.
So I feel that climate is a lot jargonized, and to all the people who are sitting here right now, while all these might seem like bigger words, SDGs, sustainability, I can say that I have a master's degree in climate change, but what relates to me the most is that when you go to a place, you find, okay, this water body is dirty. What's the problem? Why is it happening? I'll give you one case study. So there's this particular area in Loni, which is a place near Ghaziabad in Delhi, and that particular water body, it had this thick garbage patch, and people used to walk on that garbage patch. Dead bodies of animals used to float in that particular water body. And then comes this startup, they created this technology, and then they found partners who will implement their technology. So now they just do some medicine dosage into that small water body. Today in that water body, we have seen fishes return, we have seen birds return. People today sit around that water body. So the idea I'm trying to explain here is that climate has got ample amount of opportunity. All we need to do is experience, connect with people, because don't just build something into the climate space thinking, hey, today it's very trendy. If I go to a conference, I might get an award. If I go to an investor, I might find some grants. You will find it, that's for sure. But for how long? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, ultimately the business will sustain because your product, your service, or whatever you build helps the industry. And to build such products, to build such services, we need to connect with the grassroots of the country, and I feel that is what today is missing. We need to empathize climate and de-jargonize climate more.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think, think globally, act locally. I think when we talk about the climate change or environmental protection, so I think think globally when I say that environment knows no boundaries, because it's an obligation on part of the countries, member countries, and mostly because of the environmental law. Basically, we have to enforce internationally, because sir will tell. Cooperation, I'm talking about 2 levels. One is the globally, because countries have to implement. Cooperation, coordination, consensus. These are the approaches where countries have to adapt, and we have to do that global context I'm talking. And India, earlier speakers spoke about that responsible state, emerging state. India is going to being a populous country in the world. We have a major challenge to protect, preserve, conserve environment, and that's the one level. Grassroots, when we say that any approach we take, that's what we call, as a lawyer, I draft a lot of legislations. We have to look into the feasibility. When you do anything, is it going to be work? That kind of like grassroots approach is also important, for protection of climate change, I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. So actually, from our side, what we are trying to do for climate change now is that in a very basic way, we'll start with information dissemination. So as I mentioned that we are going to start the T-Works also in all the districts, so to spread the message. So in fact, we have lined up something along with 1M, 1B only, so more on that later. So the basic idea is to how do we educate the youth about climate change and the effects of climate change on livelihood. And another interesting topic which comes to mind is climate refugees actually. Yeah, so that's a very serious consideration which is not getting enough attention. But I hope that that will also get more attention through this and the youth start working on it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Let's have a round of applause for our panelists and this wonderful discussion that we've had. Let's have a photo, shall we? Whoops. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. So Maher, please come. We'd like to give you a small felicitation in appreciation for you having come here today and shared your knowledge with us. I'll ask Shrikant sir to do the honors. Please come. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, great.
You also during the
Hello, Mr. Nasser. Welcome to T-Works. On behalf of our design team, we wanted to gift you something very special. This is a GI tag craft called Cherial, and T-Works worked with designers and engineers to make a product that's infused with technology, with the craft, to come up with something unique for you to take back. Turn it around this way, yeah. So Cherial is a GI tag craft, which means that only the villagers, the artisans that live in the Cherial village of Telangana are certified to do this craft. And we, the design team, worked with them to make a design which is infused with innovation and give it a functional aspect as well that can sit on somebody's desktop with a PCB board, a charging point, etc., so that we can give that craft an elevated way to be, showcased. Thank you so much for. So Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, who just had to leave, has signed the book for you. Thank you.
was really lovely. That's so nice.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I understand the delay. I'm so sorry. My name is Deepika. I'm leading sustainability and government advocacy at 1M1B. First of all, apologies for the delay. I know all of you are very, very hungry, especially the students sitting onto my left. You are literally waiting. There are snack boxes made specially for all of you, which is kept on the right side of my side, wherever I'm pointing out, near the pantry, okay? So I will just close the session. Once again, thank you everyone for, it's a privilege for me to deliver this vote of thanks for 1.5 Matters ceremony. Today, we united for shared vision of sustainability, innovation, and collective action for climate resilience. Thank you very much, Chief Guest, Sir, Jay Sir, who left, and all the dignitaries and distinguished guests who are here, our beloved, event partners, Task and T-Works, Shrikant Sir, Joginder, and their entire crew. Like we were working probably day and night to put together the launch of 1.5 Matters. My founder, Manav, our distinguished guest, Maher, thank you so much for having all of us here and the entire 1M1B team, the students who are present over here. Thank you, and we will now break for the snack boxes, all the students, and dignitaries, we will break for a small lunch. Joginder, I will take you to take the lead. I will give you to take the lead. Okay, all students, I think we came to the conclusion of this particular event. Thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to take the snack boxes, and yes, feel free to talk to any of us. Our team is over there.